Hi, welcome back to the Daily Reset. This is day 2 of week 2. I'm Vicky, I'm a yoga teacher. Today we're going to focus on relieving tension in the body again, but with this time we're going to focus on the hip area. So the hips are a very neglected area normally in general fitness, but we don't really hear people saying they're going to the gym to work out their hip flexors. I guess it's because we can't really see them that people don't focus on them, but generally in life, most people don't use our hip flexors apart from to walk forwards, and we tend to sit down a lot, obviously at work and stuff like that, so we don't use them either. So in yoga, it's believed that we store emotion in our hips, so often when we do a good hip stretch, people feel some sort of release. But you can decide for yourself on that one, but we definitely do store tension here, same as we do in our shoulders. So it's a really good one to work on for stress relief and tension relief. Okay, so sometimes working with the hips can feel really uncomfortable. Okay, so because we don't stretch them very often, and it's a weird place to go to for some people, but sometimes we do need to work through the uncomfortable to come out the other side and feel better. So when I say uncomfortable, I don't mean pain. Pain is obviously something you don't want to do in yoga. Yoga should never be painful. So if anything's ever painful, just stop. But uncomfortable is something different. It's just past the edge of our comfort zone. So that's a good place to go to. And if you can breathe, use your breath to get through that in a posture, for example, and come out the other side, you'll feel good, believe me. So let's give that a try in a moment. But first, let's tune into our breath as we always do. So taking a seat on your mat or on your chair, wherever you may be, closing the eyes, and then starting to focus on your breathing, taking a deep inhale through the nose. Feel the chest rise, and then exhale through the nose. And again, breathing in. And exhale completely. Count if you need to. But either way, try to make sure your inhale is a similar length to your exhale. Sometimes people say that they find this uncomfortable. Just stopping and being. A lot of us don't do that very often. Mind wants to take you to the next thing and the next thing. So this is a great thing to do, to give that mind a break. Breathe through the uncomfortable and find ease and space. So open the eyes, and I'm just going to come to my mat. I'm going to work on a few hip postures, as I mentioned. So starting in cross-legged. So I mentioned yesterday that if you're sitting back like this, then put something underneath your sit bones. If you've got a yoga block, great. If not, a cushion will do, or even a book. Just take a moment now to check in with your knees. Okay, so looking at where my knees are, my hips aren't particularly open. A lot of people have naturally open hips. You might be one of those lucky people. If you do, you'll know it because your knees come down almost to the floor naturally. I have to kind of force mine down a bit, but if your knees are right up here, okay, that would probably be an indication occasion that you have quite tight hips. Okay, so I would recommend, if that's the case, sitting on something to elevate you. If you notice, I'll use a block to show you. If you notice I sit on a block, then my knees come down. So, and that's a better position than this, which is quite awkward. So that's just a little tip. Throughout yoga, you work on the hips a lot. So you'll find over time that if your knees are up here, then they will gradually make their way down. Okay, so let's start just by a very simple movement. We're going to just bring our hands in front of us. So we're sitting up tall and straight to begin with. Our chest is quite open. And we're going to bring our hands in front of us and just activate the hips slightly. So just walking our hands forwards until we can't go any further, until just to your edge, as described earlier. And take a big inhale and then slowly round down. So you should feel a slight pulling in the hips here. I'm just going to remove my block. And you'll just feel, those hips just starting to activate slightly, and just let your head drop down. Big inhale. And on the exhale, just sink down a little bit deeper. Slowly easing into it. One more breath here. And relax on the out breath. And then walk your hands back. And then just for the sake of balance, let's switch the legs around, which can feel awkward because you normally just sit in one position that feels most comfortable. So this probably feels less comfortable, but let's do that again. Let's walk our hands, leading with the chest, walking forwards. I don't want any hunchbacks, just nice and straight. Forwards, big in breath, and then out breath, lower down. And just, again, feel the hips gently pulling. Big breaths, sinking down on the out breath. If you can't come down any further, just imagine that you are. Imagine that your head is sinking deeper, deeper, deeper. Slowly walk the hands back. Now we'll come into a slightly deeper hip stretch. So bring the soles of your feet together. And so you're butterflying your legs out to the sides. You grab hold of your feet with your hands. And then just gently, bounce the knees a bit. Feeling the hips opening slightly. And then if you feel comfortable here, just gently draw yourself forwards by putting on your feet. And then we're going to take our elbows out to the side and just round down. So bringing your head down towards your feet. It may come nowhere near your feet, and that's absolutely fine, as long as you can feel this gentle hip opening here. And you can start to move your belly forwards between your legs. Inhale and exhale down, using the breath. If this feels uncomfortable, just try to find ease on the out breath, as I said. And then on the in-breath, come up. And then we're going to come over onto all fours. I'll show you this way and I'll turn around to show you the opposite direction as well. So coming into all fours. And then we're going to move our knees apart. So moving them a little bit wider than your mat. Now if you've got anything going on with your knees, any knee problems, then I recommend putting a cushion under each knee. I'd stop it now and just make sure your knees are padded out, because we're going to kind of put our body weight onto our knees. We're going to let our knees slide out to the side. And you can stay up here and just feel the hips opening, the hips and the groin opening. Looking forward, no crook in the neck, just keep your head in line with your spine. And just focus on letting gravity do the work. Gently opening the hips. This is called frog posture. It feels quite weird and unflattering, but it's a lovely hip opener. And something you can do if you've got tight hips, you can do this when you're watching TV to just work that area if you want to open your hips more. It's a lovely one to do. If you're comfortable here, you can come down onto your elbows and then just maybe inch them apart slightly more. Okay, so you'll notice that my knee is in line with my bottom. I'm not forwards here or back here. I am literally, my body weight is pressing down, so my hips open. Okay, coming up and drawing the knees together very slowly. Okay, and we'll do a couple of lunges now. So I'll come around. We did some lunges last week, and lunges are a big part of yoga. So let's just take the left foot forwards. Okay, and we did this one where we curled our pelvis under and lunged forwards, and you feel that lovely hip stretch. I've got my left foot forward and I can feel the stretch in the right hip with this one. Just breathing gently into that one. Open and lift the chest and look forwards. It just feels really nice to open the hip in this way if you don't normally. And then just come back up, and we're going to wiggle our foot forward a little bit and just come into a slightly deeper hip stretch. So you can forget about the pelvis now. We were curling the pelvis under in that version, but this one we're going to bring our hands to our knees and just try to move our hips forward as much as we can. So yeah, it's a wider lunge. My foot is underneath my knee and we're lunging forward as far as we can go to our edge. Okay, so you should feel a different stretch probably in the hip. You might even feel it in this hip too. Okay, nice hip opener. So coming back up and drawing back, and we'll swap legs, do the other side. So right foot forwards. To start with, we're up in a nice right angle, curling the pelvis under and then moving forwards with that pelvis firmly tucked into place so that you can feel this nice hip opener here. Big breaths. Breathe into it. One more breath. Come up, edge your foot forwards so that we can lunge deeper. So let the pelvis go, hands onto the knee and press forward. So really push your hips forward. You can put your hands in the small of your back to help you figure out the right direction you should be going in. So yeah, you can feel that's more going, it's going down into my quad as well, and it's moving up my body to stretch now. And I can feel it in the outside of my right hip too. So breathe deeply and sink down on the out breath a little bit deeper. See if you can move into the stretch. And then slowly back up. Okay, and we're going to try one more hip stretch today. I'm going to come around this way actually to show you the position of the feet. So you come into all fours, and initially you draw your right knee to your right wrist like this, and then you get your right foot and just move it forwards. Like if you've got very open hips, you might be able to move your foot quite far forwards, but if not, don't worry, just wherever it goes to is fine. Okay, so you're here, and then I'm going to just turn to the side to show you the back leg. Okay, so we're sitting forward on that leg. Then we're going to push our back leg, slide it down behind us. Okay, hands up either side of the knee, the front knee. Okay, and we're going to sit up tall and straight initially, and then we're going to start walking our hands forwards. Yeah, so you'll feel this in the right hip. So you've got your right knee forward, you feel this in the right hip, on the outside of the right hip, and then stretching through this left hip here too. So walking your hands forward, and you can even come onto your elbows if that's comfortable, or you can come all the way down and rest your forehead on the floor. And just take a few deep breaths in this posture. It may feel quite intense, but use your breath to take you through it. Breathe deeply. One more big breath here. And then slowly come up and draw the foot back to all fours again, taking the left knee forward to the left wrist, and then wiggling that left foot forward. The further forward this foot is, the deeper the stretch, the deeper the hip stretch here, okay? And then slide the right foot back behind you. Initially hands either side here, and then you can start to walk them forwards, okay? So you might just be fine here. You think, oh, that's enough for me today, that's my edge, I'm going to stop here. Or you can come forwards onto your elbows like this, and that may be fine. Or you can really come deeper into it and come all the way to the floor. Use your breath. Take deep inhales. And on the exhale, just feel the body relax into the stretch. If it feels intense now, just give it a couple more breaths and you should start to get used to it. Your muscles will adapt. The next time you come to the mat, you'll have a new starting point. So coming slowly back up again. Come back to all fours. Sit back to child's pose. And just release. A couple of breaths here. Head to the floor. And then come back up. And that completes the hip stretch. I hope you've enjoyed day 2 of the daily reset. I'll see you tomorrow.